So Kanye West, or now Ye, not to dead name the man, was once cringe-worthily woke. Do you remember when he told George W. Bush that he doesn't care about black people on the Hurricane Katrina fundraiser?
Listen, Kanye said a lot of crazy stuff over the years. I've not been
Yes.
keeping track of all of it.
However, his conceitedness seems to have dropped slightly in recent years, and so we're going to retrace the genealogy, and now the more recent adventures of Kanye West, and to see just why he's become really, really based. It's quite fun. I thought we'd do a fun little segment. He's recently.
I'm just going to say, I know there will be people, and there are even people in this office who disagree with your assessment, especially given that, after all, he did decide voluntarily to get married to Kim Kardashian, a woman who was most notable for getting banged by another man on the internet.
Yes, we're not going to say that he hasn't made some poor choices, but thankfully his conversion to Christianity means there is room for forgiveness there. Not for her, though. She's a whore.
I didn't realise.
Yes, absolutely. Well, not converted. He's just more practicing than usual. He always had a little bit of religious pepperings in his music, like Jesus Walks, for example, really early on, but making a full gospel album is slightly different. I thought, as a little mention as well, speaking of The Office who aren't too convinced by Western music, just for a little bit of a fun one, if you sign up to the website, you'll be able to try and watch Harry indoctrinate Callum into listening to better music than North Korean propaganda.
No, I'm trying to save him from his indoctrination, and then by virtue of that, indoctrinate him into my music tastes.
Yeah, Callum has some questionable music taste.
I will say I may have taken a bit of a misstep here in introducing him through Motley Crue and Varg Vikernes, who, if you know who Varg Vikernes is...
All of the metal that you've sent me is musically very impressive, but my ears hurt. So
did you get a chance to listen to Powerwolf before we went on?
I did. Again, we were speaking about drag queens earlier, and that face paint is horrific.
It's all part of the aesthetic. You just don't get it.
I like Michael Jackson of the Weeknd. Leave me alone. So let's look at where his journey began, shall we? It was the explosive tweet back in 2018 where he said, "I love the way Candace Owens thinks," and this came completely out of left field. It was a pretty wonderful way of, I believe Candace would say, leaving the Democrats' plantation. And someone on CNN actually said, "Oh, this is what happens when Negroes can't read," which is insane. Which is just the most evil thing.
Right, okay, but let's be fair. Kanye has said he hates reading.
Save it till the end.
Okay.
That's all right. We'll go on a journey here. So then after that, he went and visited the White House, where he said that my MAGA hat feels like a Superman cape, and it's what makes me a man. And the fact that, again,
it was quite wholesome.
It was. This was 4 years ago, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
It just makes me feel ancient.
Has he only got better since then?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wonderful.
Yeah, it's glorious. He's also got, stayed just as eccentric. But, yeah, so that was good fun. Then, after that, he pledged to perform in a MAGA hat at some point. That was 3 years old. And he said, "Trump all day," West posted, followed by a tweet containing 3 dragon emojis, an apparent reference to his description of himself and the US president sharing dragon energy, to which Trump had obviously responded, "Thank you, Kanye. Very cool," which I love that. A further tweet stated, "Just so in 2019, you know where I stand." He affirmed, "From now on, I'm performing with my effing hat on," in reference to the Make America Great Again hat associated with Trump's presidential campaign. Pusha T, whose 28 album Daytona was produced by West, told The Daily Show that the West had stopped wearing the hat because he described the accessory as this generation's Ku Klux Klan hood.
So cringe.
Well, it's not associated with Democrats, so I don't see how we could say that. West explained his attraction to the MAGA hat. "One of my favourite things about what the Trump hat represents to me is that people can't tell me what to do because I'm black." Entirely agreeable statement. He's a free thinker.
I mean, Biden literally said to qualify as a black person, you have to vote for him. And that sounds like telling black people what to do and what to think.
Yeah. Do you remember when he ran for president?
Didn't he run for president against Biden and Trump?
He did, yeah, and he didn't win any states because he registered slightly late. We had a drinking game on election night. If Kanye won any states, we'd immediately have to down a full bottle, whatever we were drinking. And
that's fair.
It was unfortunate that he didn't actually get the penalty, but my liver's still intact, which is wonderful. So then, on the road to his enlightenment, he made the album Jesus is King, and I don't know if you've listened, but it's actually really good.
I've not listened to any Kanye West that I can remember, except for, what's that album from 2010, The Dark something or other? I've forgotten the name. Dark Desires, or
Dark Twisted Fantasy.
Yes, My Dark Twisted Fantasy. I've listened to a bit of that album, and I've heard some of the stuff. I've heard the one where he samples King Crimson.
Right.
Other than that, I'm not particularly familiar with his music.
I would recommend Graduation, Late Registration, but this is probably my favourite. And actually, I'd like to say the best song on this album is God Is, because he has no auto-tune. and he pairs up with a gospel singer, and she sings beautifully, and he sings rather raw, and he just sings that he's thankful for his house, his success, his wife, it's his kids, and that's what he's grateful for. And it's actually a really wholesome message.
He might have had to edit the lyrics a bit since then.
Yes, but it doesn't mean that his intention wasn't all
No,
there.
of course. That's still quite a wholesome message.
Yeah, on the run-up as well to the presidential election, he then appeared on Joe Rogan. Again, if you haven't listened to that, it's a good little episode. He's kind of like openness and neuroticism maxed out with no constraints. He's a very lucid talker, and he speaks in genuine novels.
I think he's like if you and Nick blacked up and formed a separate, distinct person that mixed the two of you together. I'm
not going to do a Justin Trudeau and break out the boot polish anytime soon, but he is kind of like an unleashed id. Like, he's super creative, and you can, I don't wish to disparage the man, you can see how his bipolar disorder possibly plays into him having peaks and troughs, but his personality is clearly a wellspring of creativity. So then, also very recently, he honoured the Queen when she passed.
Good man.
And he said he wanted to let go of all grudges. His exact quote from his Instagram post, which he keeps deleting as well, so it has to be archived in an article here. He said, a series of slides reflecting on the Queen's death, age 96. Life is precious, and releasing all grudges today, leaning into the light.
That's quite sweet.
Yeah, so it's a sort of reflection on mortality, as we said when she passed, as Callum reflected on. You don't know how much time you got left with your grandparents, for example, so make every moment count. And that passing of that totemic figure even affected people as Kanye West, who, I mean, before, when he jumped up on stage and interrupted Taylor Swift, which, don't get me wrong, everyone should do that because she's insufferable, he sounded quite conceited, but at least he's got the capacity for reflection. So then he ran for president. We'll go to that one, and he's going to run again in 2024 apparently.
Just keep at it, Kanye.
Kanye round 2. Apparently the Rock's running as well.
Are they double bill? Is it going to be Kanye with VP The Rock?
That would be. I mean, Kanye's a Democrat. No, The Rock's a Democrat. He voted. He endorsed vote Biden, so I don't think Kanye would be running with him. But
the sad thing is, The Rock comes across as somebody who shouldn't be.
Yeah,
he really does. But then he is.
I think Vin Diesel's opinion on The Rock turns out to be actually right. He called him a candy ass co-star.
Oh, really?
And yes, The Rock has definitely never done steroids. So I'm going to read some quotes here. At the time that this was written, Kim Kardashian hadn't revealed whether or not she'd voted for her husband, but Kanye said he voted for someone I truly trust, me.
The man's funny. You've got to give him that. He's funny.
It's like Brewster's Millions. Have you ever seen that film?
No, I haven't.
So basically, he inherits a load of money, but he's got to spend a certain amount of it in order to get the rest of it.
Oh, okay.
And it's a Richard Pryor movie. And so he decides to waste it all on a political campaign. And he just says none of the above, saying all the other candidates are rubbish, so he's a writing candidate. But he ends up becoming the top balloted one by accident. And he doesn't actually want the position.
So it's like a political version of The Producers.
The Producers?
I've not watched it, but I'm aware of it. Mel Brooks, you know.
Oh,
Mel
okay,
Brooks?
yeah, of course I know. Blazing Saddles, yeah.
You know, where they're trying to get a write-off on a massive insurance claim, so they produce a stage play about Hitler, where he sings "Springtime for Hitler."
Yes, I know that one.
Flies off and becomes wildly successful.
Yeah, similar vein. So, it says here, the 21-time Grammy winner is reported to have received 57,000 votes across the 12 states in which he was running in 2020. More than 130 million votes had been counted by the time that they did that, with obviously more found when pipes burst. West had also encouraged his fans to vote for him by adding him as a write-in candidate on their own ballot papers. There had been concern among many that West's campaign could divert some black voters away from Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden, which obviously didn't happen because Joe Biden won safely and securely. I'm sure
Joe
they're
Biden was
thankful
the
about.
black candidate.
He obviously got more votes than Barack Obama in Detroit, which is an incredible feat. I'm so glad that historic thing happened. Unfortunately, Kanye's home life didn't go quite so well after that. He then divorced Kim Kardashian, of course, and we're going to let this video play in the background without any sound, just because, well, he did this video because Kim Kardashian started dating everyone's favourite mall rat, Pete Davidson, and he decided to do an entire video of killing Pete Davidson and holding his decapitated head, which is, people thought was a bit
hell
harsh.
of a statement.
Yeah.
I will say, I've come up with a theory about Pete Davidson, because everybody recognises he keeps going out with these ridiculously attractive starlets, and
I wouldn't say Kim Kardashian's ridiculously attractive,
I
nor Ariana Grande, actually. Basically, rich and successful women. Yeah.
Yes, but the way they're portrayed in the media is like these ridiculously attractive starlets. They all keep going out, and I've figured out why it is, because obviously he's a hideously unattractive man.
He's a goblin.
But what the appeal is he's like some kind of designer ugly puppy that they hold in their hand.
He's a teacup pug, yeah.
It's a sign of status. I'm so wealthy and so well regarded. I don't even have to find a man who's up to my level of standards.
You're articulating Patrice O'Neill's dichotomy of why women date weak men, because women are sharks and men are sharks, but female sharks know that they're second best to the male shark, so instead they go and pair up with a seal or a penguin, because they know they're playing with their food. And then they eventually get bored of the seal or penguin, just like Kim Kardashian then dumped Pete Davidson, like all of these women do, and then they leave them out in the middle of the ocean. They get preyed on and very resentful, and then the female shark swims back to the male shark and is happier being in her rightful natural place as an accompaniment to a man just like her.
Oh, very interesting insight. You should check out Connor and Nick's look into Patrice O'Neill if you're more interested in more of that.
Yes, and just another rather based black man, funnily enough. So if we go on to the next, the reason Kanye West celebrated Kim Kardashian's splitting up with, he called him Skeet Davidson, he announced his death on Instagram. So West shared and then deleted an edited photo on Monday morning of the New York Times front page with bold text that reads simply, Skeet Davidson dead at 28. West created the Skeet moniker for Davidson in March when he was publicly attacking his ex-Kardashian then boyfriend on an almost daily basis via Instagram memes and music videos. But Ye didn't stop at Davidson. The fine print of the newspaper also poked fun at former collaborator Kid Cudi, who recently left the Rolling Loud stage mid-performance after he was hit by a water bottle by fans in the crowd. The bottom of the front page read, Kid Cudi meant to play Funeral, but fearful of bottle throwers. Cudi had stepped in for West as a Rolling Loud headliner after the Donda artist bailed at last minute. Surprisingly, West then appeared as a special guest during Little Durk's set. I don't know who that is.
Lil Durk.
Wow, you're down with the kids. Performing his song Father Stretch My Hands, which is also great, which features Cudi. So the two are riffing on each other. If we go to the next one, we can actually see the post in the Mail article. If you want to scroll down, John, just to see the Instagram post in question. There we go. Skeet Davidson dead at 28, which has now been deleted. But I think Kanye should have just made that his profile image personally.
Like some of the comments just dub.
Yeah.
Big dub, God stepping in.
So Kim was crying about this in this Daily Mail article. She slammed Kanye West for posting an appalling meme on Instagram mocking her fresh breakup with comedian Pete Davidson. A source close to the star told Daily Mail, Kim won't stand for this. She's demanding that Kanye take the post down, but he won't. She has been vigorously defending Pete. She'll never get back together with Kanye over the way he's treated people she loves and respects. She has tried incredibly hard to have a good co-parenting situation for the children. Keep that quote in mind. She won't stand for this type of behaviour. Now, does Kanye have reason to suspect Skeet Davidson of doing something wrong? Well, we'll go to the next one. I understand it's a stand-up set, but it's still kind of weird. It's a bit of a James Gunn situation. On Monday, a comedy event, Pete Davidson and friends, the funny man shocked and even angered the crowd with his controversial stories about baby sex and people with disabilities. One of the most scandalous routines included a story about how he's babysitting his friend's child, and the baby, who is teething, began sucking on his finger. But good, he said. I don't want to F this baby, but he's asking for it. And he said he doesn't want to have sex with babies, but if he did, he would choose that one. Now, you can understand why he wouldn't want to leave his kids around the man.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's a joke.
It's
and
a joke,
probably playing
sure.
a character.
But he's from Hollywood.
He is from Hollywood. And there is also a part of me that thinks to myself, if I were to ever try and come up with jokes like this, it's like, why?
It's just kind of not funny.
Why would this idea for a premise of a joke come to my brain? And I've had many premises for dark jokes over the years, ones that would get me and have got me cancelled.
Yep.
But
me having sex with an infant is not one of them.
Yeah, never. That one's never
didn't cross my mind. No. There's also Kim Kardashian and all the things she's done. So Kanye is, in many respects, good to be free of her, but unfortunately not for the children.
Really, he's dodged. Well, he didn't really dodge the bullet. It's more that the surgery managed to save him afterwards.
Yeah. Well, he's currently got 3 kids with a woman. She's currently destroying the American judicial system, of all things. So Kim Kardashian, Beyonce, Oprah, and even Rihanna have tried getting a death row rapist and murderer off death row, despite DNA evidence.
Yes,
so
they've come out as retards. We're aware.
Yeah, they've tried to get Rodney Reed off death row. Reed was convicted of the 1996 rape and murder of 19-year-old Stacey Stites. I hope I'm saying that right. Large in part to actual DNA evidence. Reed has claimed he didn't murder Stites, but was having a secret consensual affair with the teen.
Very convenient.
When her fiancé, Jimmy Fennell, a white police officer, found out, he killed Stites, Reese's defense attorney theorist, and he just blamed the guy she was having an affair with.
It makes sense to me, officer.
The Supreme Court said, no thanks, we're not taking the case, he can fry. She then also tried to defend and deleted tweets in the next one of trying to defend a woman that was convicted of beating her 2-year-old daughter to death.
Does Kanye have custody?
We'll get onto that, unfortunately. Yeah, so she was involved in the Trump administration's weirdly liberal policy of criminal justice reform, which actually produced cases where rapists were let out without notifying their victims, because good behaviour, no thank you, keep them in forever, or whatever other solutions you have. Kim Kardashian this week posted a string of tweets urging Governor Greg Abbott of Texas, famous for busing migrants to Washington, God bless him, to stop the execution of a mother convicted in 2007 of brutally beating her 2-year-old daughter to death. The messages, reported on here by Daily Wire, have since been deleted. In the posts, Kim Kardashian claimed Melissa Lusso, quote, falsely pleaded guilty to killing her daughter, whose death, Kardashian claims, was, quote, the result of a tragic accident. The court documents show the baby girl, named Mariah, was the victim of child abuse. She suffered potentially weeks-old broken arms, bite marks, bruises, and missing patches of hair that had been pulled out. So Kardashian tweeted, I recently just read about the case of Melissa Lucio and wanted to share her story with you. She's been on death row for over 14 years for her daughter's death that was a tragic accident. Her 2-year-old daughter, Mariah, fell down a flight of stairs and only 2 days later passed away while taking a nap. After she called for help, she was taken into custody by police. Melissa is a survivor of abuse and domestic violence herself, much like the Joker's mother, and after being interrogated for hours and falsely pleaded guilty, she wanted the interrogation to end, but police made her words out to be a confession. Now, there are, of course, false confessions. This doesn't seem like one of them. She then worked with
So she's arguing that instead of it being just an outright abuse, don't worry, it wasn't abuse, guys, it was just neglect.
She just fell down the stairs.
I just walked into the doorframe, officer.
Exactly, yeah. She then worked with the Innocence Project to try and stop the execution. It's stories like Melissa's that make me speak so loud about the death penalty in general and why it should be banned when innocent people are suffering. Well, this woman isn't banned.
No, I would go the opposite way.
Innocent
If I
mother.
was in any position of power, I would ban projects like the Innocent Project.
I've flipped the switch myself. She also staged a sex tape release with her mum. Remember the Ray J sex tape? It was her release. If we go to the next one, recent exclusive. Kim Kardashian kept the leaked sex tapes in a Nike shoebox under her bed, according to Ray J. So, obviously, Dankula's second most loyal sponsor behind Raid Shadow Legends is here giving an exclusive. The infamous Kim Kardashian sex tape was, quote, released like an album by Kim herself, who kept the only copy of it stashed in a Nike shoebox under her bed, along with the rest of the tape she made with Ray J, so she did multiple takes. Speaking for the first time about the tape, in a bombshell interview with DailyMail.com, Ray J said he had never possessed a copy of any of the tapes they made together, only holding on to photos and texts Kim had sent him between 2002 and 2009. It was so bad he didn't want to revisit it. The 2007 release of Kim Kardashian Superstar raked in an estimated $100 million. She got a reality show off the back of it. Ray J said, I've sat in the shadows for over 14 years, allowing the Kardashians to use my name, abuse my name, make billions of dollars over a decade and a half talking about a topic I've never spoken about. I've never leaked anything. I've never leaked a sex tape in my life. It's never been a leak. It always has to be about a deal and a partnership between Kris Jenner and Kim and me. So she pimped out her own daughter, and Kim was very happy for it to be put online. He also insists he never did any of the things he claims that she claims he did in the Kardashians' new Hulu show, and was outraged by the suggestion he might have a video showing Kim sticking something in his backside, which he said made him sound like a rapist.
Okay, so I had no idea that Ray J basically had nothing to do with this, bar starring in the video in the first place.
Yeah, it's like most female porn stars, funnily enough, where they get paid once for the appearance, and then it's on the internet endlessly, and they wish they could take it back.
Well, you've sold it to me. She smashed the patriarchy. Obviously, that's what happened.
No, she didn't smash the patriarch. She smashed Ray J.
Oh.
Anyway, next. It turns out she's put this to even further insidious use. The Kardashians have denied faking a scene in their latest season where her son finds her sex tape on Roblox.
God, this family is so degenerate.
Yes, you remember when she said you asked if she had custody of the kids, and she's saying she's trying to do good
she?
co-parenting. Yeah, she does. Good co-parenting is not doing this. In the scene, Saint West, age 6, shows his mother Kim Kardashian experience room he apparently stumbled in whilst playing Roblox. Roblox said it removed the room and banned its creator, and no sex tape was ever available. It only said a few dozen players found it in the short time it was live. On social media and in some reports, people suggested the chances of Saint West being one of those who found it are very slim. One well-known Roblox developer known as Zombody told BBC the chance of accidentally stumbling into a game like that are astronomically small. There are two potential ways for Saint to have found such a game. Either he or the family actively searched for it or even created the game, or someone else in their peer group created it and shared it directly with the boy. Neither the Kardashians nor the production company provided an on-the-record comment, but a source close to the family insisted the scene wasn't faked. I highly doubt it.
No, I doubt. I'm just... The only thing I've really seen in the past of Kim and Kanye together was an old... I forget why I was watching it. It was like one of those house walkthroughs, a house tour that you do, and it was Kim and Kanye. And it was very, very interesting, the difference between the two, because Kim was obsessed with, like, oh, look at all these fancy things we've got, look at these appliances, look at my material possessions. And Kanye's just kind of in the background the whole time, like sitting on his bed or sitting on the sofa, playing with the kids, looking confused the whole time. She like keeps going, look at these fancy taps that we've got. And the crew are like, oh, what do you think about these taps, Kanye? He's like, I wash my hands. I don't care. I don't know why they need to be so fancy.
He's a simple man, exactly. So he can sing about materialism all he likes, but he's moved away from the song New Slaves, and now he's a much more family, wholesome man, if she actually lets him see his kids. And this is why he's made the argument, men's voices matter. Kanye West has opened up about fighting to have a say in his children's upbringing. In an interview that aired on Thursday's episode of Good Morning America, Kanye West said he had to fight for his voice in his 4 children's lives. He has 4, I thought you only had 3. I do have a voice, but I had to fight for it. It hurts when you have to scream about what your kids are wearing. As a dad and a Christian, and I have to have a right to have a voice on what my kids are wearing, what they're watching, and what they're eating. I have a platform where I get to say what so many dads can't say out loud. I'm their dad. It has to be co-parenting. It's not only up to the woman. Like men have a choice also, men's voices matter.
Very true.
Yeah, he would have been considered an MRA how many years ago, but I mean, it's nice that he's a very public example of what happens when you marry the wrong woman and your kids are ensnared in basically an exploitative situation where she's sexualizing them for public money. And anyone that watches Keeping Up with the Kardashians at this point as well, I mean, it was always brain rot, but you're enabling this, stop it. So the most recent scandal he's had, before we wrap up, is that he's against Chinese slave labor because he's disassociated with corporate America. Quote, he'll go it alone. It's time for me to go it alone, Ye said in a phone interview. It's fine. I made the company's money. The company's made me money. We created ideas that will change apparel forever, like the round jacket, the foam runner, and all this other stuff. Even with billions in dollars of revenue and 2 of the fashion industry's most lucrative royalty deals at stake, which is Gap and Adidas, Ye has shown his willingness to publicly battle the same corporations he's worked closely with. These are my new baby mamas, Ye said. I guess we're just going to have to co-parent those 350s. Representatives for Adidas and Gap decided to comment, and he was complaining that the recent Adidas shoe looked really similar to his patented style. He said it was blatant copying, but they were undercutting him in sales. No one should have to be in a position where they can steal from them and say, we're just paying you to shut up. That destroys innovation. That destroys creativity. That's what destroyed Nikola Tesla.
Maybe he has started reading.
Yeah, he's become incredibly based. He's an arch libertarian in terms of property rights. And then if we go to the next one, the reason he's doing this as well, in an interview with CNBC, Ye actually said he's trying to disassociate with them because of their ties to Chinese manufacturing. This is the day of liberation right here, West said. This is a day not to just be valued on my cash flow, to be valued onto the equity in terms of the money, not equity, racial equity we bring. You know, we've seen the influence that we had on 2 Fortune 500 companies, also a lot of stuff that Adidas have commitments of China, and we wanted to do localized manufacturing, which is completely possible with some of the factories I'm buying here in California. We can actually bring industry back to America. So he's enacting on Trump's policies.
And he's an industrious man. I mean, let's be fair to him. No matter what you want to say about him, the man made a success of himself by pulling himself up.
It's mad impressive, yeah. It's not like he came from nowhere because his parents were college professors, but they did split, and of course that had a profound impact on his upbringing. But he is an arch-evil capitalist who's trying to bring back American manufacturing. He's a concerned father. He's a Christian. He even tried to get his wife to moderate posting saucy selfies and got in a fight with that shortly before the divorce. So he's a man of excellent modesty.
Right, okay. His choice in women is always his biggest
questionable,
flaw.
I agree.
I forget the name of the woman he's been seen with since then. But
Julia Fox, he's already been off.
Oh, has he?
Yeah.
Well, fair play to him. At the very least, she was also a hoe, but she was far more attractive than Kim Kardashian.
Yeah, though she was dumb as a post, though. Speaking of slightly dumb, but I will say Chad energy, we'll just finish with this most recent clip from Kanye. John, if you can play that.
You know, one thing that I was speaking with Ye about today is...
You see that rhymed?
Yay today.
I was telling him that I've read a book at least 100 times. And basically the meaning of the book is that if you believe you can, then you can. But if you believe you can't, then you can't.
There's 2 people. The man who thinks they can and the man who thinks they can't. And they're both right.
That's right.
That's what you were saying, but that was like a simplified version.
Yeah. The one who wins the race is the one who believes they can. The oak lies in the acorn. And Ye was telling me that he hasn't read this book, but I was telling him that every positive attribute he naturally embodies. And that's extraordinary, to have that confidence, from being such a young kid and going out there and inspiring and having this vision and actualizing it is extraordinary.
Also, when you said I hadn't read this book, I actually haven't read any book. Reading is like eating Brussels sprouts for me, and talking is like getting the Giorgio Baldi corn ravioli. like a good conversation.
I love how he cuts through the arse kissing there and immediately goes. It's the juxtaposition of the crying soy boy. No, have you got a sauce for that? No, and Ye's just like, aha, yes, next conversation topic, please.
Ye's just there, like, I don't read actually.
I admire the man's confidence. Look, we endorse reading books at the Lotus Eaters, hence why we've got a book club. But it is quite fun to always see Kanye West have a change of heart, and I look forward to Jesus is King #2.
He seemed much more like he seemed like a much more reserved speaker in that little interview there than I've seen in the past.
Yeah, well, he seems like a more integrated personality now. Maybe he's unburdened from the psychological stress of thottery, and I just hope he gets his kids back.
Yeah, same.
If you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as the live hangouts we do with premium members, this one on our Cyberpunk Dystopia Part 3. And if you want to find out what else we're putting out, you can follow us on Getter at lotuseaters_com on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.